Oh, eat your heart out, John Ryan, right down the middle. This isn't Kicking It with Ballsy. No, it's Kicking It with John Ryan, the only Saskatchewan kid to win a Super Bowl and a CFL veteran who started his football career in Regina, in the RMF, and has helped build it to what it is today, giving back to the community and giving back to Regina Minor football. This segment, Kicking It with John Ryan, brought to you by another great guy and his family, Ben Garrow, Advantage Collision in Saskatoon and PA. They're the family shop that cares. They're the best in-class auto body repair shop, OEM certified, and ready to meet your needs in the quickest time possible. It's Kicking It with John Ryan. This, and there's my buddy John Ryan. How are you, bud?
I'm good, buddy. I'm looking forward to this. I think
it's going to be good.
I might MF you a few times.
It'll be good. It'll be good. First off, I wanted to ask you, it was a big weekend I'll tell you what, I got a kick out of it. It was a great weekend for me. I went to Ottawa, to Lansdowne Park, to TD Place. I watched my son play Winnipeg Blue Bombers against the Ottawa Red Blacks, saw a 128-yard missed field goal for a touchdown, which we'll never see again in 2027, which was the highlight of the game. Outstanding play, which we'll never see again in 2027. My son made 4 tackles in the game. By the way, look, I like this. We're on the same page, only I've got rum.
Yeah.
I'm a stiff drink.
Attaboy.
So watch that. It was a great weekend. Loved hanging out. I saw your stuff on social media with you and your wife, Sarah, in Regina at the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. And I had supper after the game, watching TV with my friend and your friend, Frank McChrystal, going into the Canadian. Yeah. So it was a great weekend for me. 2 of my buddies got honored, and I got to watch my son play football. For your part, how was the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame?
It was really cool. It was a special weekend for me and my family. A bit of a dream come true, for sure. You know, I never thought I'd be in that position to be put into the same building as people like Gordie Howe. You know, that's pretty special. And it was just a terrific weekend, and got to share it with a lot of friends and family.
That's awesome, man. And what do you think about Frank going in? I didn't think the bust looked exactly like him. They should have had a stash with a toque or something.
Definitely should have had a stash. I think it was still pretty cool. I saw him on the field there in Ottawa. It was in Ottawa, right? Or was it in Hamilton? Hamilton, sorry. It was in Hamilton. Him accepting the bust and him out there. I think it's just so well-deserved. I think that you and I both absolutely love Frank. I think that I am where I am. A big part of where I am right now is because of Frank. And I'll never forget that. He just did so much to me, and I absolutely love the guy. Yeah.
So I want to start by saying that we are friends. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
In a world full of division, I think it's great when two men, true men, can come together and talk out things. And generally, we're on the same side of things. And I would think we had this discussion. Usually, I think you would agree. Usually, I'm right about things when it comes to football. And generally, I would say you're right about things when it comes to football. That's why we agree a lot. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I agree. I would say 99% of the time, you and I agree on the big picture of football. You know, we obviously don't agree on certain games and stuff like that. But on the big picture stuff, this is one of the first things we don't agree on.
Okay. And so let's talk about this, and let's talk this out.
Okay.
Because I don't think we disagree about everything.
We don't.
I think the CFL, in typical CFL fashion, handled this wrong again. But I'll get into. You may or may not agree, and in fact, I think you won't agree. But just judging by the players and everybody I'm talking to, and the stuff I'm seeing on social media, they have divided not only a fan base, but they have divided locker rooms, and they have divided people within the league. Davis Alexander versus Nathan Rourke, that type of quarterback saying they don't really care about the league, never cared about it before 2012, that type of thing. Okay. Which I think is kind of ridiculous when you made a living playing in our league. So I think the league has done a piss poor job of that. I'm not sure. So you're going to be my commissioner because the commissioner doesn't have balls to come on my show. And so you're going to be my commissioner, and I'm going to ask you some questions and see if you can answer, because I respect not only your football knowledge, because you played in both under both rules.
Yes.
And you're a successful business owner in sports, so you'd be a great guy to talk to. Okay, so let's start here.
Okay. All right.
Because in my industry, nobody asks tough questions anymore.
That's true.
They're either reporters for the team and they are scared about losing their job. They work for TSN and they have their marching orders and their shills and they don't want to, they only promote what they are told to promote. Or they're like play-by-play guys of teams that can't be talk show hosts anymore, which is what I'm no longer. And so part of the reason why I'm sitting here is because I asked tough questions. So I'm going to ask you some tough questions. John, why was this announced when it was announced? Because like I said, Commissioner, why would you announce this now and risk dividing a fan base and risk dividing locker rooms and risk dividing players in a league with 1/3 of the season to go when you yourself told me this is a really exciting season to start your press conference?
I'm announcing it right now because right now we're starting to go into playoffs. We're starting to ramp up, and this is when the most eyes are on the CFL. This is when the most people are going to be talking about the CFL. Most people are, after I now made this announcement, this is when people are going to be talking about the new rules more than if I wait till February when no one's paying attention, this flies under the radar. This is no longer on A1. There's no longer on the cover of the sports section. It's buried somewhere back there. That's why I announced it right now.
Okay. So, Commissioner, who's paying for all this? Who's paying for all this, Commissioner? Who's paying for all this? You're moving the goalposts back.
Yep.
Who's paying to put the turf in and the goalposts? Who's doing that? Just in the CFL, who's paying to do that?
The 9 owners and presidents who all voted yes for this. I had 9 owners and presidents, all 9, and the vote was 9-0.
Okay.
They all agreed with my rules and the reason why I'm changing them. Every single one of them thought it was for the betterment of the Canadian Football League. Okay. And they will be paid for it.
Okay. You, Commissioner, told me that 7 of the 9 teams have no money. They make no money. They're losing money year after year. This is not a sustainable business model. Your words, Commissioner, not my words. How can a league that has no money pay for all these changes? How can these owners, if they have no money, Commissioner, if you're telling me on one side they have no money, how can they pay for this then, Commissioner?
Because sometimes you got to spend $1 to make 2. And that's where we're at right now. I'm trying to set up this league for long-term growth. Okay? So right now, when I go to a gambling site in the United States and they say, well, tell me about your game. And I say, well, you know, some teams have 18-yard end zones. Some teams have 20. Some teams line up on the same side, benches side by side. So some guys, when I'm running in on a defensive stand, a defensive tackle has to run 65 yards onto the field and 65 yards off. Okay, well, tell me about your 20-second clock. Well, it's kind of up to the referee when he blows it in, when he doesn't. It's kind of up to his discretion. So it's kind of, a little bit here and there. Oh, and by the way, some teams line up on opposite sides of the field. So we have about 7 separate configurations of the field for one. What's a catch in the corner of the end zone in Saskatchewan, not a corner of the catch in Montreal. And they're going to say, why would I put your brand of football on my website, on my gambling site, when you just said it's not even – you're basically bringing all these rules that I don't even know what the league is right now.
Okay, I can buy that, Commissioner, but then why haven't your stats worked ever? Why haven't your stats worked ever? You give me the same line that Randy Ambrosi gives me, Commissioner Stewart Johnston. You tell me that's not your thing. We're working really hard. We don't know why it doesn't work. Why is it the same thing? To me, Commissioner Johnston, it has nothing to do with that field. I can buy that, but tell me why the stats don't work. That's why, as a gambling person, I wouldn't have anything to do with your league because I can't go to your sites and click on anything and get updated stats on Ethan Ball or Zach Claros. Your TV broadcaster that actually covers your league and spends $50 million a year, they don't update the scores and their stats. Why is that, Commissioner?
And I agree with you on that. I inherited a house that was on fire. I walked into a house that was on fire. The past owner didn't give a fuck about it. And that's what I'm walking into. So I agree with you on the stats, and it's going to take a while to get there. I've had this job for 152 days. and I'm starting to make changes as fast as I can, and it's going to get fixed. That would be my answer.
So, Commissioner Johnston, and by the way, thanks for taking time and actually being on my show. I appreciate it. I didn't know you like to drink, but that's good because I like to drink too.
You didn't know the commissioner had a list either, did you? There you go. God, it's a drinking list. No one knew because he never talks to anybody.
Okay, I like how this is going. Okay, so Commish, answer me. Riddle me this, Batman, if you can for me. Okay, riddle me this, Batman. You're telling me that you want to get younger. So let's just start with the 2026 rules. How does and I agree with you with the benches on opposite sides. Who knew that Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, Edmonton, and Calgary, the regular strongholds, who knew they got it right all along? But answer me this, Commissioner. Let's just talk 2026. How is benches on the same side, and I'll get you to explain the 35-second play clock to me for a second, because I heard you on a Toronto TV station or radio station today, and you had no idea what you were talking about. Okay, not you, but him. Okay. So you're supposed to be the guy in charge of making changes, and you had no idea how to answer the questions. Okay, not you, him, but you're him today. Okay.
Yep.
You tell me how. Can you please tell me how benches on the opposite side are going to make 18 to 34-year-olds rush to the game that weren't coming right now?
We're looking for consistency within the game. When you start to look at different fields and different configurations, it looks Bush League. Okay, this is a small step, but a good step to get every field to look the same. So when I present this to USBet.com or CanadianBet.com, wherever the hell they're called, they can say, yes, this is a consistent league that has everything correctly done on the very base level. If I can't even tell them that we don't have benches on the opposite side of the field, or sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, I don't know, and that can change the outcome of the game, it's hard for them to jump on board. It's hard for US Network to come on board if I'm giving them this BS. It's hard for TSN to up their money if I'm coming on this. And as far as the 35-second clock, I didn't hear what he said today, but I think the 35-second clock, this is John Ryan talking right now.
Yeah, no. So stop. Hold on.
Okay.
No. Listen, we're addressing this one by one. I agree with you on the benches. I've said the benches a long time ago. I said it last year. I totally agree with the benches. Okay. Totally agree with the benches.
All right. We're on the same page.
Okay. We're on the same page. I'm not totally anti. I can listen. Okay. I'm not that scared of change, but here's where I'm going with this now. I want you to honestly explain the 35-second play clock, but I want to say how I read it first. Okay. So right now, this is how I read it. Okay. And the commissioner had no clue what he was talking about, because check this out. In typical CFL fashion, they talk out of both sides of their mouth. They want scoring, but they cut plays out for scoring. They don't need to talk to their employees because they're just their employees, but I got to talk with people that know what they're talking about. Because here's the deal. The way I see the 35-second play clock and the way the questionnaire sees the 35-second play clock, John, help me out.
Yes.
Riders have the ball at the 38-yard line. There's 1:30 to go. In the CFL now, for somebody's infinite wisdom in a fast league, like, we're changing all these fucking rules, but how about tinkering with the ones that actually suck right now in the league? We have 2 timeouts per game for the whole game. If you don't use a timeout within the last 3 minutes of the game, you lose that timeout. I have never heard anything so ridiculous in my life. They didn't change that. Okay, so hear me out. So this
they did change. I thought they were going to 3 timeouts a half.
They haven't said that yet. Nobody said that.
I had intel that told me that then before.
Maybe it's happening, but there's nothing.
I did hear that from my intel. They said they're going to 3 timeouts a half, and if they don't, it's kind of bullshit, because within 2 minutes that 20-second clock really plays in. So I will go back on what I said if there's not 3 timeouts, because if 3 timeouts, then you can stop the clock. It's more strategy.
Right. So here's how I read it. Tell me if I'm wrong, because you played in the NFL. So right now at the CFL, I agree. It takes the officials for whatever reason, and I think the officials, dollars to dollars with the NFL, do just as good a job, if not better.
Yeah, I agree.
But it takes them forever to set the ball, okay? So we're trying to speed up the game. But here's how I read it, and coaches know how to cheat within the rules. So you've got No timeouts or one timeout. There's a $1:30 to go. Riders hand the ball off to AJ Ouellette. He gets tackled. As soon as he gets tackled, that 35-second play clock starts. Now, if the Riders get to the line of scrimmage right away and the ball gets set in, it gets whistled in with 29 seconds or 28 seconds or 27 seconds to go on the play clock, they can stand there and let the clock run down and kill what was uniquely Canadian. So if they don't add another timeout, that's fucking bullshit.
I am going back on my words from our 24-hour argument we've been having back and forth.
Yeah.
Because I said this is a great rule, and in my head I kind of was stuck that I thought they were going to 3 timeouts per half. Because then you really have to be careful with those timeouts because you want to stop the clock. So I will go back and say unless they go to – because right now in the middle of the game, all right, it's such up to the referee. The ball's caught. The guy goes down. Referee stops. They set the ball. He waits for the 12th man, gets in the offensive huddle, blows it in. That's Bush League, I think. You start the play clock as soon as the guy goes down to keep it consistent like they do in the NFL. But with that being said, inside the 3-minute warning, it would really take away some of those great endings to CFL games.
Okay.
This is me talking, not the commish.
You talking, not the commish. Okay. So here we go. And I agree with, I appreciate you going back on that. That shows you're a good man and you're a good business owner. Okay. So here we go. Let's go to this. Commissioner, why was if you're not turning your back on amateur football, why was junior football and U Sports football only made aware of this just before the press conference? This is supposed to be your feeder system. How are they not in the loop? How are the decision makers at the top not in the loop on this, Commissioner? Do you not look like you don't care about Canadian football?
CFL is the big dogs. We're taking control. That's why we're giving them 2 years. We're not going down and asking Pee Wee football teams what they think of our changes and rules. And we're giving them 2 years to either go with us or stick to what they're doing right now. And the game right now is great. The game right now is great, but it could be improved, and that's what we're doing. We're improving it. Amateur football can stay the same, and it's still going to be scouted just the same as it was before.
Do you know that there are at least 250 to 270 fields that need to be changed over? So I'm going to ask you, take your commissioner hat off and be John Ryan for a second, okay? Let's have a
and we've talked about this, and I've thought long and hard about this.
Millions of dollars, John. They're sticking it, they're ramming it right up the ass of amateur football. They don't care about Canadian. No, wait, hold on. I'm asking you a question here. Who did you grew up kicking the ball in the day that one thing, and I won't accuse you of this, but one thing people become, and I've talked to other CFLers who are Canadians that don't care about the ratio, and when they're done, they don't give a shit and all this other stuff. I'm not lumping you in that category, but a lot of times people become prisoners of the moment. They forget where they came from. You're not one of them, but I'm asking you this. When you were growing up, John Ryan, did you not dream of playing in the Canadian Football League? Yeah, NFL, but did you not dream about playing in the Canadian Football League, or am I wrong?
100%.
Okay, so you dreamt about playing in the Canadian Football League, and when you were playing with the Rams, when I casually coached you as a guest coach, as a receiver, and maybe that's why you ended up as a punter, you ran around there, maybe thinking about, I don't know, being Dan Farthing or whoever you thought about being with, or being Bob Cameron or whoever it was. You were playing Canadian rules, the same rules on the same field. How can you expect the Canadian game to remain and that passion and everything if you're going to play 2 different games? I don't agree with that. I think that's totally wrong. And I think it turns back on Canadian football, and it's an absolute joke and an embarrassment.
I think the old CFL from 48 hours ago is a better game for amateur football. I really do. I think it's a better game for amateur football. I think the game they're introducing right now is a better game for pro football. And I think snap to whistle, it's the same game. The field dimensions are going to be different for the pro level, which doesn't lend itself well to the amateur level. That's how I feel. Right now, you look. Oh, wait. You look at the American game. NCAA looks nothing like the NFL. High school football looks nothing like the NCAA. They're basically, even though the field's the same, they're playing 3 different games in the U.S. It looks completely different.
They're playing the exact same game. They're playing
the
exact same rules. The exact same
rules. No, they're not. No, they're not. Go watch a punt. Go watch a punt in a American college game. It looks nothing like it does in the NFL. Guy rolling up to his right.
I watched 4 years of it at UND. It's the exact same thing. It's either a touchback or a fair catch.
No. You're missing what happened around the line of scrimmage. Guys are rolling up. Guys can release right away. NFL, they have to block. They can't release right away. We have these Australian guys rolling out to the right and doing these stupid fucking kicks. It's completely different. Then you go to high school, the hash marks are even wider. They're playing on a different field. The hash marks are even wider. The uprights are wider. They're bigger. The game looks different.
So here we go. How are we, John? How are we? Be the commissioner, be John Ryan, be the businessman. I don't care.
Okay.
How are we making money at this? 7 of the 9 teams are losing money. How are we making money on this, John? And don't tell me that it's the field that the betting guys are going to get on, because that's not why this is. That's not why this is. And I'll get to that. My theory. How are we making money right now?
We might not be making money right now, but I think it's going to come. I think we're modernizing the game. You might not agree with this. And Ballsy, you even called me out today. You said the game was awesome before, and it is awesome before.
You did. You said you loved the ruse.
I love the ruse. And the ruse doesn't go anywhere. There's still a ruse, but it's different. There's no way.
John,
what do you mean? What do you mean?
Let me tell you what I mean. You are never going to see a 128-yard missed field goal return. Take the yardage out of it. You're never going to see it. Here's what you're going to see. Here, let me paint a picture for you. Just the kicking game alone. And you're a guy that should know this, because they attacked you and they took your job. They fucking took your job for global people. A guy that donated money to the Bob Ryan Scholarship Fund, or made it. The guy that made the mini mites. The guy that I still have your back. We're just having a debate here. They took your job. They took a legend's job and kicked him to the curb, who could still punt at 50 yards, contrary to what some assholes thought in the broadcast.
I don't totally agree with you, but I walked away on my own. But go ahead.
You don't think that but you don't think you were on my show saying it was an attack on the Canadian kicker.
Absolutely. The Canadian punter, yes.
Okay, so they started there by attacking the Canadian. They started there by attacking the Canadian kicker. So,
and I was the first one to fight for that. I was the first one to say that.
I know. So check this out. Okay, Alfred, go back into the end zone. I'll tell you what, he's going to line up at the 28-yard line for a 50-yard field goal. He's probably not going to make it. So if it comes up short, just let it bounce through the end zone and it'll be a touchback. They haven't told us where it's coming back to. So you've basically taken a play where we have to play the ball on every play, and you're taking that away. You've taken that away. Give the option to take that away. You've taken a great play and made it boring now.
I think that's something that just goes by the wayside now. That's something that we get rid. It's a compromise. I think it's going to be a cleaner game with uprights in the back of the end zone. It's going to be a cleaner game, and I love watching a field goal return. I do, but is it the best play? Is it the best play? If you watch one of the greatest athletes in the world running around against 6 fat offensive linemen, a kicker, punter, and a holder, kicker, punter, and a snapper, it's one of the biggest mismatches in all of football.
I'm shocked.
Is it the greatest play? And don't get me wrong, I've watched Henry Gizmo do it however many times in his career. I loved it. But is that the greatest play?
Well, it was the best play in the Ottawa-Winnipeg game.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that.
It was a 128-yard play that turned the game around, and we don't have that play now. That play's gone in the league. You might get the odd. See, and that's what shocks me, because you were on this show many times saying you wouldn't touch any of the rules or the rouge.
Yep.
You were on this show. I can go back episode after episode. I'd like to know where that changed.
It changed 36 hours ago when I saw 5 new rules that I thought were going to improve the game.
Okay, so you tell me how that's going to make us money. At the end of the day, how does all of this make us money and save the game? How does flushing 150 years down the toilet save the game?
I don't. You're Ballsy. We have changed rules hundreds of times. We have taken a ton of NFL rules. NFL has taken a ton of rules from us. 1975, CFL introduced the 2-point convert. People don't even realize there wasn't a 2-point convert in the NFL until they watched us. And that's a kind of a cool freaking rule. We're going to take that was 1994. They said we had a 2-point convert for 19 years before them, and no one in the U.S. said we're going CFL. It's all Canadian. Who's going to do? Oh my God, it's dumb because we take things from each other for years. And
no,
19.
We don't take anything from the NFL. They take from us. They took the 32. The best rule change that's ever happened.
We just did. We just moved uprights to the back of the end zone. We just took that from them.
Yeah, which is not.
We just took a rule this year. Go ahead.
Which is not a good move. You tell me how that's a good move. You tell me this. Tell me this. Answer me this. How is moving the goalpost to the end of the field going to make more people come to the game?
I'll tell you exactly why. I will tell you exactly why.
Mm-hmm.
We want the ball in our best players' hands. The stars, the guys that make up this league, the guys that bring money to this league, the guys that blow it up in the red zone, guys that are going to score. Right now, how the new rules are, between the 30 and 40-yard line, you're not punting the ball. You're not. You're going for it. You're going to have more touchdowns. You're going to go from 55 or 60 field goals a year, which is ridiculous, to 30 or 35 yards, 30 to 35 field goals a year.
Can I stop?
We're going to have more offensive plays in the red zone with more stars touching the ball, scoring more touchdowns, which then you have more fans watching, more people watching on TV, brings more money to the league. There it is.
Okay.
That's it.
So now I've done lots of research on this, and I'm using the commissioner's words, okay?
Okay.
The commissioner told us, he said his words, that it would amount to 60 more touchdowns a year. Over 81 games, that is 4.4 more points via the touchdown in a season. 60 more touchdowns in a season over 81 games is it's 3/4 of a touchdown. Hold up. That's 4.4 more points. You're going to have more turnovers on downs. And I'm going to paint you. I'm going to paint you.
Yes, you are. You are. And you're always going to have more guys going for it in third down and scoring more touchdowns.
No, hear me out. Hear me out. 60 more touchdowns a year, which is on average 4.4 more points a game. Okay. And you're going to sacrifice, we're going for points. Wait a minute. You're going to sacrifice 35 and 40-yard field goals and take what would be 6. So you're going to be down 1.6 on average points a game because you're going to say, we're going to take field goals out of the game. Kickers, John Ryan. Listen to this. Let me paint you a scenario. Riders are playing the Bombers. They're playing the Bombers. It's the West Final. And they're driving down the field and they get to the 28-yard line and there's a 35-kilometer-an-hour swirling wind, which is brisk, but doable. Brett Lothar can come out and knock that sucker through with more accuracy in today's day. From 28, they go back to the 35, maybe 36. In the new, better CFL, that field goal from the 28-yard line, and let me say this, there's 25 seconds left to go in the game. The Riders are 3rd and 7. They're at the 28-yard line. In today's CFL, they kick a 35-yard field goal, and now they're up 24-23 with 18 seconds left. The Bombers get the ball, a chance to go down, kick the ball into the end zone. We could have a kick out, a kick in, which you said about 4 weeks ago you liked, but now it's a dead play. It's not happening. Okay. So there we go. We got that there. And then you're going to say, okay, well, we can't kick a 50-yard field goal now from the 28 in a 35-kilometer-an-hour wind. We got to go for it 3rd and 7. You tell me how that makes the game better.
It's going to be a different game. It's going to be a different game.
How does it make it better?
I don't necessarily think it's going to increase scoring as much as you just said even. I think it's going to increase touchdowns. You're not going to have kickers kicking 5 field goals a game, but you're going to have more touchdowns.
This is what I don't understand. And once again,
go ahead.
Being respectful. You are a guy that is a Canadian guy that came up wanting to be a kicker. And you literally are supporting cutting back on kicking. Here's another thing.
I am.
I don't understand.
It's for the betterment of the game. Do you want to see a guy? Yes, it is. You want to see a guy? You guys want to see a kicker run out there 60 times a year? taking the ball out of guys' hands when we could go 3-down offense and move the ball. We have freaking Justin McKinnis catching touchdowns and being a massive star.
Do you think?
I want to see Kickers hit 30 or 35. I don't want to see 60 field goal attempts a year.
You don't want to see Jadarian and Grant return punts. You don't want to see these guys return.
What are you talking about? Punts?
I'm talking.
There's not going to be less punts.
Because of
Where's there going to be less punts?
Because there was not going to be less punts because of this rule, John, and the Americanization, not modernization, Americanization of the Canadian game.
Disagree.
We're going to be at the 30. We're going to be. Check this out. Same scenario. You're at the 35-yard line, and you could try a 42-yard field goal in today's day, but instead you are going to either go for it, or most coaches conservatively will coffin corner punt it down into the corner from the 35-yard line. You can shake your head no, but it's going to happen.
Nope. That's going to happen very situationally. Very seldom. And they have not told us where the ball's coming out to yet. So if the ball's going to come out to the 35, no one's going to punt from the 35 ever.
How do you make these rules? Not you. How do they come up with these rules and nobody knows where anything's going to be? How do you? Well, serious. How do you come up with these rules and nobody knows? Okay, here's one for you. We got a 100-yard field. Where are we kicking off from? It's going to be a touchback every time right now. So you want a touchback in the CFL. You don't want returners. You don't want Janarian Grant, Mario.
But you're now you're getting upset about a hunch, about a feeling. You're speculating. You don't know where it could be.
Why can't I speculate? Because nobody's answered the questions. Because nobody asked the questions.
Well, that's fine. I agree with you there.
Nobody asked the questions. Nope, because nobody's allowed to ask the questions because nobody has the answers. He doesn't have the answers whether there's 3 timeouts in front in 3 minutes. It's funny. You talk out of both, not you. They talk out of both sides of their mouth. They want scoring, but we're going to cut out field goals and make it harder. They want scoring, but we're going to take the rouge out of the game. He starts the press conference by saying, this is an exciting year with high scoring, but we don't score enough, so we're gonna it's all fucked up. They don't have it's an absolute disaster. And here's where we're going here.
I disagree, but go ahead.
Here's where we're going, John. So once again, tell me how we're making money on this. How are we good? How does this make us money? Because here's the thing. I talked to Mark Trestman and I've talked to Wally Buono about this. Both believe this is the greatest game on earth. Mark Trestman told me, I can't believe anybody would bitch about the goalpost. Anybody with an offensive creative mind can use that as a pick play, just like the defender can use the sidelines as a 13th man. Nobody hits the post. Only one time they hit a post with a pass, Cody Fajardo.
I might have a Grey Cup ringing it those posts.
That's the only time. That's the only time. They're showing clips from 30 years ago to push their narrative. But here's the thing, John. If you want to get rid of the rouge, that's fine. But why did we have to move the goalposts? And I'll get to that. You could have just said there's no rouge inside of 3 minutes, or you could have said, unless the ball isn't playable, there is no rouge. And then you don't move anything.
Do you want to know my honest answer for what you just said? Why they don't say it? This sports betting is a freaking multi-billion-dollar stream right now for all pro sports leagues. If you go to guys in the U.S. who are in Las Vegas who are betting on these games, and you say, "Oh well, inside of 3 minutes you can't do a rouge," and then they're like, "Just never mind. I don't want anything to do with it." I think these rules clean up the game. What am I going to argue with Wally Buono and Mark Trestman about an offense? I'm not. They're not wrong. You can, but what I think is, I think this pushes the game forward. I think it cleans up some of the things that I think probably needs to be cleaned up a while ago. I still love this game, and also, Ballsy.
Yep.
I don't get paid a freaking cent from the CFL. I put my balls out there. I'm saying all this stuff. I'll get a bunch of shit for it. I have not made a CFL since 2022 where I barely made enough money to pay my hotel room bill every week. Barely. I barely had enough money left over for freaking beer. Okay? And I'm not complaining. I did that because I love this game. I get paid tens of thousands of dollars from the NFL, from the Seahawks to promote their game. They probably rather I don't do this. They send me to Germany. They send me on cruises. They send me to Whistler. They send me to Grey Cup. They're giving me tens of thousands of dollars, but I put my neck out there and do shit like this and talk about the CFL because I love it.
Yep.
Right now, you and I are showing our love for it, maybe a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, we both love it.
Yeah.
And I'll probably get shit for a lot of things that I said, but this is why I'll do it, because I love it.
Okay, but why would you get shit? You're not emboldened to anybody.
What? Because there's Twitter out there, there's Instagram out there, there's Facebook out there.
I once again, I said at the start of this, I have your back. I'm not saying
I know
you're
you.
not. I'm not.
And
saying
I have yours.
I'm bringing this up. So here's my question to you, though. Here's how I see it, and I've done, with all due respect, you're not going to agree with me, but I've done a lot of research, and I'm going to sound a little Alex Jones-ish on this, but just hear me out, okay? Honestly, hear me out on this, okay? The coaches and the players and the GMs were not consulted on this. And now you will tell me, and you told me that as an employee, you don't have to consult anybody. But John Ryan, NFL owners vote on the rules, but they don't do it by themselves. They go to their coaches and GMs. They have a rule. They do, John. It's true, and I know. But
that's up to them. They don't have to. They own the freaking team.
But John, and we've had a rules committee here. They didn't go to anybody in the CFL because they don't care what they say, because they're going to United States football. Hear me out.
They're not.
Hear me out. Just let me finish.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
They're going to United States football, and I'm going to paint a picture for you.
Go ahead.
So the Canadian Football League Players Association, CBA, goes to December 2029, but it's allowed to be opened when a TV deal needs to be renegotiated, which it is. Most TV deals known to man in football or in sports are announced 2 years before the last one expires. It happens all the time in the NFL, and you'll tell me, oh, when did it happen in the CFL? Well, I will tell you exactly right now. In 2019, the Canadian Football League announced with TSN that they would do another deal, even though their existing deal was done in 2021 and signed up for what we're going through right now, okay, till 2026, another 5-year extension. There is no announcement right now. Now, after you have come up with these big changes, there's no TV deal in 2027. Where's my TV deal, John? Where's my domestic TV deal announced from TSN? It should be announced by now. It's not announced by now, because here's what's going to happen. The CFL PA is open now. Their CBA is open. The UFL CBA is open at the end of the 2026 season. Wait, hear me out. At the end of the 2026 season, they are going to negotiate a TV deal internationally. The commissioner, listen to what the commissioner has said, John. Don't shake your head in disgust. Listen to what the commissioner has said. He said in the press conference, asked by 3 Down Nation, that he will not rule out going 4 downs. He said that. And that was wrong of him to say if he didn't mean it. He said it. He also said today on Toronto radio station that he is going to make this a relevant North American football league, not Canadian football league. He said a relevant North American football league. I hope you're still there, because you froze up on me. Can you hear me? You got me?
Yeah, I got you, buddy. I got you.
Sorry, you froze up on my end. He's going to make this a relevant North American football league. The UFL comes free on 2026. The CFL is open after the 2026 season. You've got all these changes and you haven't got me a TV deal. Why don't you have me a TV deal? I'll tell you why. Because they're going to get a US TV deal with Fox and DAZN. They have to make it look presentable to America. That's why you didn't just go with the simple, hey, no rouge out the end zone, what I said. That's why they moved it back and made it 100 yards. Now, you're going to tell me that it's still 65 yards wide and they're still doing all this stuff. That's what they're telling you now. But in 2027, before the deal's done, it's going to be 4 downs, and they're going to tell you no Canadians, John. And here's what they're going to say. They're going to say, Canadians have never been better than they have been right now, which we both agree. Canadians can stand on their own merit. And if you're the John Ryan I know, you're going to tell me there's American coaching bias. So you know that's a bunch of malarkey. So I'm telling you right now, John, this is my opinion and my opinion only, but I truly believe this, that in 2027, we will be playing 4-down American football, and the owners don't want to tell you they're fucking broke. They're not broke in the fact that they're billionaires, but they're not making money. So they don't want to tell you that they have to go to an American style, full American game, because they need people to still go to the games in 2025 and 2026. In the two places that make money, John, the Winnipeg fans and the Rider fans, a good contingent would cash in their season tickets if they knew that this was an American league. That's what's going to happen, in my opinion. Tell me why I'm wrong. And one more thing. One more thing. Sorry, I'll let you talk, but one more thing.
Go ahead.
You didn't tell anybody at U Sports, and you didn't tell anybody at the amateur level, and you basically don't care because you don't care about the Canadian feeder system because you won't need Canadians. That's how I feel.
I don't totally agree with that. I think that today, the MLB went to automated balls and strike challenges.
Yep.
Robot challenges. I don't think that any Little League team was asked what their opinion was on that.
Sure.
I think if you're the big dog, you're the big dog.
But the Little League team,
the
Little League team isn't feeding that though, John. They're not feeding the league. Like John Ryan.
I don't think they talk to the NCAA too either. I don't think they talk. They have their own minor league system. I don't think they talk to the NCAA about that either. I'll be willing to bet. Okay, so first, Ballsy, thanks for leaning back so you can't even get to your microphone. I like that, buddy. I appreciate that. Thank you. So this is your opinion.
Yeah.
Your hunch.
My opinion.
What you're saying now is a better argument than what you presented to me this afternoon.
Well, it was over text, and I was trying to sell cars. Wasn't very good.
I was trying to work out and make out with my wife.
Oh shit! You had a better life than me.
Okay, so when you talk about TV deal, all this, that's above my pay grade. I don't know all about that. Yeah. You bring up some good. I'll say you bring up some good points. Okay. What I think, the UFL is a fucking dumpster fire right now. By the way,
sure it is.
I think they're down to 4 teams. You know, they got their St. Louis's, who is really the only team that's really doing anything. And I think they're going to add 4 more teams. It'd be ridiculous to partner with them. I think, now you bring this up, I think there is a world where they partner with them and they play by these rules in the CFL that were presented yesterday.
So, John, I will say this. I will say this because I've been on record as saying this, and I've been on record with you saying this, okay? I've been on record with you saying this. Mm-hmm. John, I said this league needs some juice, and we're not getting it in Canada. Yeah. We do need to expand. I have talked. I would be okay. I would be okay, John. I've said this. I would be okay with field dimensions changing if it meant an influx of money, and if it meant we could keep the 3-down game, and if we could keep the motion, and if we could keep the Canadian ratio. Because back in the 90s, the Canadian teams were 500 and 1-1 in Grey Cups. But there's a lot of problems with this. Because of the American coaching bias, I think it's a pipe dream to think it's going to happen. Because of the American coaching bias, John, you're going to get Canadian coaches, and they're great ones like Killam, O'Shea, those kind of guys, Mike Miller.
Fantastic.
They love Canadians. I love where my kid is. I have no doubt. Wally Buono, but he's not in the league anymore. But you got
Canadian. I know. In the history, there's an amazing. Go ahead.
Corey Mace, another great Canadian coach. So there's great Canadian coaches. Okay, John? So I get that. And they love Canadians. But when those guys are all using Americans, they're going to say, why would I use Canadians? And you got to admit, Americans are cheaper labor than Canadians. Canadians, because there aren't as many of them, command a better salary. And these guys are looking to cut costs and make money. So my concern is this. I'd be all for, and I'm not against change. I'm against, you tell me why we're doing it. Why are we flushing all this down the toilet? And if we are going to get rid of Canadians, you tell me what we got. We got a 4-down league, and you know better than anybody, Mr. Ryan, the Americans have voted. They've voted many times. XFL 3 times, USFL twice, AAF, now USFL. They only like the NFL. They only like Friday Night Lights, and they only like Saturday college football. That's it. That is it. They don't like any other version of 4-down game. I just have a tough time believing they're going to go with 3 downs, Waggle, and Canadians, and that's where I'm out. I don't know how you feel about it. Oh my gosh. I think I lost him. I think I lost him. Oh my gosh, that hurts.
Am I back? Am I back?
You're back. Go ahead. How do you? I don't know if you heard.
I heard you. I had you the whole time. I had the whole thing that was reconnected.
Go ahead.
I think we have talked about this several times about not expanding to Baltimore, not expanding to Memphis, not expanding to Birmingham, but going to Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana.
Yeah.
And this new field dimension could make that possible. All you need now is 5 more yards behind each end zone, which is possible now.
Yeah. Or how about John? This is what I'm saying. This is where I'm going with this.
Okay.
I just wish they'd be honest with us. I don't think they're being honest with us. I think they're lying. They're not telling us what they're doing, and just rip the Band-Aid off. You know what you say? You say 7 owners aren't making money. They're ready to pull the pin. We need money. This is what we're doing. Don't fucking piss on me and tell me it's raining. Don't do that.
And I'm not going to disagree with you on there. I thought the press conference, although I like the rules more than you, Ballsy, I thought it was a little bit of a shell.
Yeah.
We didn't get very deep. It was a very quick. I expected it to be an hour-long press conference. It was like 3 minutes. It was a shell. Here you go. Watch the video. So you're not wrong. I want to know more about this. Where I see it right now, and now I think we've opened up a bunch of cans of worms that are we've gone way out there. I don't know where we're going now, but I am against the UFL thing, and if that's going to happen, I'm out. Mm-hmm. Unless we merge with 4 very solid teams in the U.S. and we play by our rules.
Well, here's the thing. And I talked to your friend. Sorry for cutting you off. I don't mean to cut you off. I talked to your friend Ben Hebert, who called me this morning. And sure. Ben was really concerned about this too, because he's a patriot at heart, but he also gets business. Okay. He said when he played in his first Brier, there were 17,000 people at the Calgary Saddledome. His last Brier last year in Kelowna was a 6,000 seat rink, and it wasn't even full, but they made more money than they've ever made because of a TV deal and because of betting and everything like that. So so I think we need to be ready for a new age. And that's what the CFL is doing. They're out. They can't afford to market, John. This is what I don't understand. This is where I'm going with this. This is why it's all muddled. And like you said, it's a shell. It's not that I'm against change. I want answers, John. So here's the thing. Okay. We've got no money, but we're going to pay to fix all the fields and move all the fields. And we're going to, instead of, you know what I'm getting at? We're going to do all that, but we don't have money to market. We don't have money to fix our stats. We don't. Go ahead. Sorry.
I get that. But if you truly believe, if the Commissioner League truly believes this is going to propel us, then it's one of those things you got to spend $1 to make 2. It's going to be a big payment up front, and down the road we're going to make that money. And if he's wrong, it might be the end of the CFL. I mean, he's putting all his eggs in one basket right now, and we don't even know where the basket is or what eggs he's putting in right now. Actually, now that we've talked about it a little bit more.
Well, and that's what I mean. So here you come, John. Here's the thing. You come with these statements with a third to go in the season. You have no answers. All you've done is divide a fan base and divide players. And what have you got? You don't give me any. John, you've given me more answers as the guy who's the commissioner. Come on, man.
Actually, the way you just rolled it out, business-wise, it's kind of great. You don't even realize it. You have everyone talking about the fitness CFL, even though it's a nightmare and it's a mess right now. Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah,
and I think maybe now you said it, I think maybe they might have done that on purpose. They might have left a little bit out on purpose. Now that you say it, I think they might have.
I'll give you credit. I'll give them credit for this, John. Unbelievably, there were no leaks. That is unbelievable. Yeah. There were no leaks. Okay.
I got all the information about 24 hours before, but but there was no public leaks. You're right. You're 100% right.
No public leaks. No public leaks. So I don't know, man. I don't know how you feel. I feel like my league got I feel like my family member got a terminal diagnosis from the doctor, and I really feel that it's going to die. It's not dead yet. Can it be salvaged? The only way it can be salvaged, and the only way that I'm on board with keeping my person on life support system, is that you're going to not abandon the 3-down game, and you're not going to abandon Canadians. And I believe that is where this is honestly where I believe it's headed. And nobody's told me otherwise. He didn't deny 4 downs. He didn't deny 4 downs. He didn't come out and say, if he would have come out yesterday and say, I love Canadians, I'm all for the Canadian Football League, I'm for the national. He didn't say any of that. He just said our goalpost sucks. He started by gaslighting in the press conference. He showed an interception by the goalpost and said, look at this goalpost, ruined one of the nicest plays. He's basically lying to the people who can see it. If you're not blind, you can see it was a great play where the guy had the goalpost, and he basically gaslit everybody. Like, I thought Randy Ambrosie was bad. This is Randy Ambrosie. And I'll tell you,
this is way too early to call that. I like him way more. This
is what Randy Ambrosie talked about when Dave Naylor and Farhan Lalji talked about the XFL and the US. Remember when Dave Naylor and Farhan Lalji came out and nobody held their feet to the fire when they said the only way the CFL survives coming out of COVID is with the XFL and CFL merger, and it never happened and nobody called their feet on the fire. This is what it is 5 years later. It's coming to fruition, and I believe it's going to happen. Now, will we be able to keep Canadians? I hope we will. Once again, I say if we can keep 3 downs and Canadians, and I'll be okay with changing the field if you can do that. And I have a vested interest because I have a son playing. But it's more than just my son. You know me, John. You've supported my podcast. I've been all about Canadians, all about the Canadian League. I'll just say it. I played a big part in getting Frank McChrystal into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. So yes. I've been a defender. I'm not saying that, but I've been a defender of this 3-down game for a long time. So my question to you, John, is if I'm right, what will you say then?
I mean, if you're right, I'm never watching the game again. So I'm out. If you're right.
And it's
that's why I'm trying my hardest to be positive about this, because I want the CFL to go on for another 100 years. I want my niece and nephews to be watching the CFL. I want my nephew to be playing in the NFL someday, or the CFL. Sorry, the CFL. So I'm trying my hardest to be positive about this, and I think I'm looking at this a little bit with rose-colored glasses. I think that my glass is half full and yours is half empty.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. And I, for the record, hope that you're right and I'm wrong. I really
absolutely do. We've already talked about this, and I hope I'm right too.
I hope you're right and I'm wrong, and I'll be the first guy to say it. But my gut is usually right, and it's going to go American. It's going to go 100% American, but I don't know, but 100% American by the field dimensions. We're going to have, because they're not going to change the field 4 times, John. They're not going to do that. They're not going to say in 2 years, oh, we got to make it skinnier. The riders are due for apparently an upgrade. It's coming up. So they're going to make it so it's done. And so they got to know that it's done. And right now, it's all just mumbo jumbo on paper. We're moving it back to the 20. They're not. My point is this, John. I feel like they're not being honest with me. Mm-hmm. Be honest with me. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me how bad things are. If you told me that, yes, go through this, John. We moved the hash marks in. We said it was for quarterbacking. It made very little difference. It maybe shortened a pass by 2 yards. Not that big a deal. We moved it in for field goals. We put it 100. We put the goalposts at the back. We've made it 100 to clean up the game and modernize it. But what we're meaning is we're Americanizing it so that we can expand, because we need to expand, because we're not getting a team in Halifax. We're not getting a team out west in Victoria. We got to expand. We both agree with that. But how is that going to look? Can we preserve the Canadian game? Because if we can't, if my son can't play after 2026, and if another kid playing for the U of S can't come up and play, or the next John Ryan kick, then I'm out. I don't want this league. If we can somehow do it, then I want the league. Here's another thing, John. You're a business guy. I phoned John Lipp today. He couldn't remember. Okay. How do they pay the players if we play in America? Now we're getting ahead of ourselves, but if we play in America, how do we pay the players? Like Canadian dollars in Canada, American dollars in this? Like, how does that work? How does that work? There's a lot of things. Like
I know for the NHL, the NBA, the MLB, the teams in Toronto, the teams in Ottawa, they all make American dollars.
Yeah. So
presumably, I mean, it would really lower the talent if the league minimum, I believe, is still 65,000. But in the U.S., that's like 50,000 American, maybe less, 47. But
Here's something else I thought about today, and I thought about this a lot because I do care about it, and I could see you took notes, and I appreciate that. You didn't just come on here like some dumb jock and shoot your mouth off. Like you, that's why I ask you. Like I want you to know I have the utmost respect for you. Like I want you to know.
I've been taking notes all day.
So with the NIL money and everything going on in college now, like there may come a point too where you got some Canadian coaches, Killam, O'Shea, those kind of guys. If they're still in the league, they might still gravitate towards Canadians and they still see the value in having a Canadian on their team. They may or may not. Those guys might be there, but maybe the Canadians will still have a place because maybe some of these Americans they might not want to play because of NIL, because it's just not worth it for them to play. I don't know. Maybe there still will be a way to keep a Canadian.
I know right now, I believe in the UFL with the bonuses, they're making around $100,000 or making $75,000 US, which is about $100,000 Canadian for 10 games.
Yeah.
So, well, if you go to those guys and say, okay, now you're not going to make 100, you're going to make 50, and you're going to play 18 games in 21 weeks instead of 10, are you in? It might get a different class of player.
Yeah. So I don't know how it's going to go. I don't think they should go like way west. I would try, if they're going to go expansion, St. Louis and North Dakota, Montana, maybe a team in Portland if they can find a field where you don't have like a big college or no NFL, and you got the natural rivalry with Vancouver. Like we need to get to at least 12 teams for fantasy, for betting, like you said.
Good point.
I've always said that. I just want to keep the Canadiana in the game, and I just don't know if that's possible, and that's what worries me.
We're not getting to 12 teams in Canada.
No, but we need to get the 10's not going to. Yes, 10 balances the schedule. That'll be okay for a year. But do you want, like, honestly, John, and you're the perfect guy to ask because you have all the great ideas with the Portland Pickles. Here's the other part that bothers me, John. Just hear me out. I know right now it's unique. I know there are still unique things about the game, even with the changes. I totally get that. Right. But it was totally unique before. And that's what sets the Portland Pickles apart. By the way, go watch Pickles. You guys do lots of great different shit. You have lots of great ideas in that brain of yours and in your partner's brains. You have lots of great ideas. It sets you to be unique. Why would you get away from that uniqueness unless you had to, because it's not working? But tell us it's not working. Be honest with us and tell us why you got to do it. Then you're not going to have a guy like me being reactionary. You're going to say, Ballsy, we're done. Like, we're done. We have to, and this is the only way we're going to do it. And we're going to try to preserve Canadians, and we're going to try to do that. Because right now, John, like, I agree with you. If they go 4 downs and if they go American and they don't, it's dead. It's dead. It'll be dead in 2 years.
I'll agree with that. I'm not on board for any of that. The lack of information that we've gotten is frustrating. We got, as I said, we got the shell, and that's it. And now it leaves all of us to speculate about what's going to happen.
So
and
sorry.
And then also Ballsy, my wife even said, "Do not yell at Ballsy." She told me that 5 times. Do not yell at Ballsy. Do not yell at Ballsy.
I love Sarah.
Because I thought this was going to be more heated between you and I than it was, and I thought in the back of my mind I knew that you and I agree more than we disagree, and that's what we just proved over the last hour.
Because we love the Canadian Football League. We love Canada.
Exactly.
But I want to get an opinion from you about this. Does it not bother you a little bit, even though you said it's the big dogs? You're a guy that has supported the mini mites. You put your money where your mouth is, so you can talk about this. Does it not bother you that the U sports and that junior football are left in the dark? I'll give you an example, okay? Let me paint a picture for you. Okay? I talked to Scott McCauley, and he's very upset. Okay, they play 3 games at Libel Field. Okay, and then they're gonna go and they play 1 game against the Hilltops at Mosaic Stadium because they can fit 2,000 more people in the stands at $20 a head, which is $40,000. How do they do that, John? They play these rules there and these rules there. What about at SMS? What about at SMF Field? Are they going to switch that all over or not switch it over? Like, who pays for all that? At least part of your heart, doesn't it concern you? Here's another thing. I heard a guy from SMF get interviewed on TV today. He said, right now, for our young kickers, our young John Ryans who are 9, 10, 11, they are going to have to kick an extra point from, if we're going to go this way,
they're not going to kick extra points anymore.
Yeah, like they're going to kick an extra point from the goal line to the back of the end zone, which is still 22 yards when you take in the snap 5 or 7 yards back. John, how are we growing the next John Ryans? That's what bothers me about that.
It's because I do think, as I said earlier, I think the old CFL game from 48 hours ago is a better game for amateur football. But you bring up a very good point about what happens when they go to Mosaic Stadium to play. So, I mean, that's a good point to talk about too. I mean, you brought up a good point.
Yeah, and the Huskies, they go to training camp. Riders go to training at the end of training camp with the Huskies. Like, nobody asks these questions. Like, in 2027, is it just at Mosaic Stadium, or are the Huskies changing their field over? Because how do you practice field goals at training camp? You can, but you know what I'm saying? How do you practice your offense? Like, there's so many questions that haven't been answered or asked. And that's what I'm saying. Where's the TV deal? If they announce this thing right now, then they should have a TV deal in conjunction or right away, but they don't, because they're waiting on the UFL or something like that to have an American TV deal. That's why they're moving the goalposts back. That's why they're making it 100 yards. It's so easy to see. Now, whether we can keep the Canadiana, that's the question. I think, John, if you take a step back and you look at it, that's exactly what nobody asked the commissioner any of these questions. If somebody would ask him, he said, "Oh no, our TV deal's coming up. Oh no, like, is it going to be an international TV deal?" Hey, we're not opposed to 4 downs. Hey, I want to make this the most relevant North American league. Like, do you know what? Hey, we're changing to 100-yard fields. Hey, so you're actually telling me that that's what you're doing. It's like we're on the I don't want to say Titanic, but it's like we're going to hit the iceberg, and I'm the guy yelling, and the rest of you guys are drinking and having a great time telling me, don't worry about it. And I'm like, there's the iceberg. And you're like, the water's raising, and you're like, not you, but other people like, well, it's no, that's not the iceberg. It's like, tell me what's going on. That's all I want. And nobody's told me anything.
I understand. I understand you now better than I did 24 hours ago.
Thank you.
My entire argument was I kind of like these rules, and you took it to another level. Okay, yeah. I think that's where we both stand.
And I think I took it. Would it be fair to say that if you were, and I'm being straight up honest here, if you were a man in my shoes whose son worked his whole complete ass, I want to believe that I didn't know Bob Ryan. I think I met him once. I believe Bob Ryan would be Michael Ball if John Ryan's career would be threatened or potentially threatened, or he'd be thinking about that, because that's what they're talking about in locker rooms right now, all over this league. Yeah. That's why Nathan Rourke was so impassioned. And for TSN announcers to say he should apologize, fuck off. He should apologize. He's the face of this league.
Right now, we have to listen to everyone's opinion because we don't have any answers. We have to listen. And I don't necessarily agree with everything Nathan said, but I respect the shit out of his opinion, and I respect the shit out of him as a man and as a football player.
Yeah.
So I don't. That's where I'm at. I'm not commenting on anything else but that.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Good. So anyway, I just want to say I really appreciate you coming on. You didn't have to do this. You didn't have to do this because, hey, there is people that can twist all this stuff. And I just want people to know that John Ryan is a Canadian through and through. He has put his money where his mouth is. He has supported me to no ends. He's in the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. He is one of the greatest athletes in Saskatchewan history and a proud Canadian. And I do appreciate it. And you know what? I hope you're right and I'm wrong. I don't often say that, but I hope you are 100% right and I am wrong, and I'm so way off. And I'm Alex Jones minus the Sandy Hook, and you'll be able to make fun of me, and you'll be able to make fun of me that I was a wingnut, and I'll gladly take that. I'll gladly take that, buddy.
Well, I agree with you. I hope I'm right too, but we'll see.
Okay, thanks, man. Have a great night, and tell Sarah I love her. Take care.
All right, bud.
See ya. Take care.